Okay, good evening, everybody. It's 6 o'clock, and we'll start the meeting of St. John Council for October the 16th. First item, Common Clerk.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. First, we have item 1.1, the land acknowledgement.
Over to you, Councillor Stewart.
Thank you, Deputy. The city of St. John, Mennequist, is situated on the traditional territory of the Lowistawake. The Lowistawake, along with their indigenous neighbors, the Mi'kmaq and the Pescatawakate, signed peace and friendship treaties with the British Crown in the 1700s that protected their rights to lands and resources. Let's pause and reflect.
Thank you. Next item, Common Clerk.
Next is the national anthem.
Please stand. Next item, Common Clerk.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is item 2.1, minutes of October 3rd, 2023.
Can I get a mover? Councillor Hickey, seconder. Seconder? Oh, Councillor Harris?
Yeah, just a comment. Deputy Mayor. Thank you.
Okay,
Just a
can I get
comment.
a seconder on it first?
I'll
I thought you
second
were
it, fine. Just with a small amendment, there's just a little separation between the adjournment of when open session ends, which is listed in the minutes as 10:12, and when closed session starts, which is listed in the minutes as 10 p.m. So if we can just get the clerk to align those, that's all. Yeah, I picked up on.
Okay, on the question, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, if any? Motion's carried. Next item, Common Clerk.
Next is item 2.2, minutes of October 10.
Can I get a mover for October the 10th minutes, please? Councillor Sullivan, Councillor Stewart. On the question, all those in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, if any? Motion carried. Next item.
Next is the approval of the agenda, and there are two items that have been added or will be added from Committee of the Whole, and those would be 17.1, extension of license with Fundy Harbor Estates, and 17.2, land assembly for South Central Peninsula School.
Okay, can I get a motion to approve the agenda with the amendments? Councillor Sullivan, Councillor Stewart, on the motion. All those in favor, by saying aye. Opposed, if any? Carried. Next item.
Next is disclosures of conflict of interest, if there are any.
Not seeing any. Next item, Common Clerk.
Next is the consent agenda.
So the consent agenda is sanitary landfill 5.1. Can I get a motion? Councillor Sullivan, Councillor Stewart on the question. All in favor, signify by saying aye. And next item, Common Clerk.
Next is members' comments.
Members' comments. Okay, Councillor Killen, you start us off.
Thank you so much, Deputy. I just want to let everyone know and personally invite all of you to King Square this Saturday for the Love is Louder, a celebration of diversity festival we're putting on with the No Space for Hate group. I'm one of the volunteers with them. We're going to be setting up all day with vendors, live music, DJ, storytelling, and more. And special shout out to the Growth and Community Services team who were able to put this through really quickly for us so that we can spend the day in King Square really showing the 2S LGBT community that we are loving, that we are caring and kind and accepting. And we're going to have a very positive expression of love that day. So I would really love for you to show up. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Radwan.
Thank you, Deputy. Yes, so this month is actually Latin American Heritage Month, and I got to go to an event on Saturday, and it was filled with all kinds of great entertainment, and the community is wonderful, so I enjoyed going to that. Rockmore Nursing Home had their event. I think you were there, Deputy, and Councillor Hickey and Councillor Killen were also there. But I was so happy to hear afterward that they raised $56,000 for Rockmore Nursing Home. So congratulations on that. That's wonderful. A couple of things coming up is the Chamber Mixer is being hosted by Core Health on October 18th from 4 till 6. It's a great way for people to get some networking in from 4 until 6 o'clock at 9 Charlotte Street. And Sophia Recovery Center is having their breakfast October 26th at 8 a.m. at the Delta. And Sophia Recovery Center does so much work in helping people that are struggling with addictions, women struggling with addictions. They do some fabulous work. So hopefully people will be able to attend.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Hickey.
Thanks very much, Deputy. I want to recognize the passing of Walter Ball, former city councillor, passed away on September 23rd, served 3 terms on council, and is well known for his contribution to the arts community and to the community as a whole here in St. John. So our condolences to his family. It's Small Business Week, so shout out to all our great small businesses and small business owners, some of which sit around this table, in the community who really define a lot of what our community is and define our local economy as well. We do a great job of that. Last week was also Fire Prevention Week. And if anything our city needs to know about right now is fire prevention. We've seen lots of action from our protective services over the last month, whether that be 17 hours at AIM or a recent fire on Charlotte Street. We know the work that they do and the importance of it, and thank them and recognize all of our protective services for the service they perform in our community. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Harris.
2 comments, Your Worship. One is a shout out to the St. John Trojans who just a few weeks ago were able to seal the deal and take the A side, so the sort of the Premier League for men's rugby in New Brunswick. They were able to take the cup, and we went. A number of us went to PEI to play against the Mudmen this past Saturday. We were not successful in beating Charlottetown, but it's the first time St. John's been to a Caledonia Cup in a long time, a number of years. So it's good to see the club. This is their 100th year. They'll be celebrating their 100th year coming up at a banquet in November. And obviously, if anybody's been over to Sandpoint Road, you've seen the clubhouse, which is now under construction, which has a nice, a gorgeous view of the field, a nice footprint, and has lots of plans for community engagement with a number of different groups and programs. So that's awesome to see for them. And just congratulations. It's a delayed congratulations, but to Mr. Andrew Beckett, who took on the position of CEO of Envision. I had the privilege of meeting with him today, and I'm really, really happy to see what he's bringing to the table there. And it's good to see that organization have leadership back at the helm. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Okay, next item, Counselor Clerk.
Thank you, Deputy. Next item is item 13.1, and it's from the Finance Committee, Common Council input into the 2024 general operating budget.
Okay, and I'll send this over to Counselor Sullivan as chair.
Thank you, Deputy. As advertised 2 weeks ago on the agenda, your Finance Committee and staff who are attending virtually and taking notes tonight are interested in hearing Council's individual views on what they would like to see involved in the coming budget. Certainly, we are following financial plans and strategic plans and everything that we've had approved before, but certainly there are many things within those plans that if there's opportunity to invest more in a certain area, we would like to hear that. So with that kicking it off, I'll pass it to you, Deputy. I guess I'll officially make the receive and file motion just to get it on the table and then leave it to you to run the discussion, and I'll start typing.
Okay, so you're moving it, and Councilor Stewart's going to second it. So before we begin, I just want to say that this is going to go a round table. Okay, so you don't need your lights till you're speaking. You'll need the lights when you're speaking. And we're keeping it at 3 minutes. If we may have to do 2 rounds, but we'll see if we can do it in 1 round. The idea here is to be specific. If you want more money put into sidewalk construction or upgrades, that's all you need to do. We don't have to say because in this area or that area, or because you can do a lot in 3 minutes. So we'll get started with Councilor Norton, and we'll go right around the circle.
Thank you, Deputy. Areas of focus for me will continue to be, I guess, priority areas of focus for me will continue to be recreation and roads and sidewalks. So those things that are street level services continue to be priorities for me where other levels of government aren't providing those services, and it's up to the municipality to deliver them. So whether that's the paving of roads and streets that continue to deteriorate, or whether it's the plowing of sidewalks to maintain safe passage by pedestrians, or whether that's increasing our service levels in those areas, along with recreation, it will continue to be high levels of investment for me that I would like to see. So areas that the provincial and the federal government don't typically dip their toes in, those are those areas that I would like to see our budget focus on. So thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Councilor Norton. Councilor Lowe?
Yes, my first one would be a community center for the East St. John area. It's been talked about before. It's area's got a poverty rate of 90% for kids. It should be done. It has to come from the people to here. Somebody from out there has to start it, and I want it like Pulse in the South End, like the West Side Community Center. Something that will help people. They do income tax, they have nurses, they have all kinds of different things, but it's definitely needed in that area in East St. John. The second thing, and this is no disrespect to the people that do the job, I think we need more bylaw officers. Like earlier today, I think we're getting 2 more, but we need more. The taxi business is a disgrace. It was always done before by the police officers, their traffic division. Either that doesn't exist no more, or they don't have anything to do with the taxi. We definitely need help. And like I say, I'm not offending Charlie out there, but there has to be help in the taxi. We need bylaw officers for garbage, for unsightly premises. I mean, I represent the South End, Lower West, Waterloo Street, Village, East St. John. I can take you for a drive any day and get 10 houses that bylaw officers should be going through. We had a bad fire in the South End. The house was torn down. The house next door is now occupied. And I know nobody has gone through that house. I'm not saying there's anything wrong, but the people who live in the area are startled that the 3 meters were put back on by St. John Energy, and now there's people living in it. I definitely think we should spend money on bylaw officers, inspectors. I don't care. I mean, I was going to say a company, but then they wouldn't be unionized, so I better not say that. So the idea is that we need more. We got to get this city. The garbage is deplorable. And the bylaw, if we tear a house down, it comes through here, and they don't have the money. The province pays us for tearing a house down. So, I mean, you know, it's not money, it'll probably be a little while getting it from them, but you eventually get it from them, right? And I think to clean up the city, these are the things that we need, and that's where I think we should spend money on. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Stewart?
Thank you, Deputy. Am I on there?
You are.
So I want to thank Councillor Lowe. The East Side Community Center is definitely something that's on both Councillor Radwan and my wish list, for sure. Thanks for bringing that up. Definitely, when we talk about roads, it's not just about paving roads, it's about, this discussion has come up before, complete roads. So we're talking about sidewalks, curbing, crosswalks, and then it becomes maintenance. Once we do pave roads and build new roads, it's the maintenance part that can save us a lot of money in the long run from having to rebuild them. You know, it makes sense to just paint our crosswalks regularly so that, especially school zones, people are not questioning whether there's a crosswalk there. Any chance we have to put in more signage at crosswalks, I think we need to do that. And then my next item would definitely be recreation. I got to say, we are definitely on the right track. We've been doing so much better, but there's always more we can do. I want us to be a city that's proud of its recreational facilities and our assets. Our ball fields shouldn't be, you know, ridiculed that they're bumpy and they're afraid of sliding into third base or any of that stuff. We should have lights on our football fields wherever possible, our ball fields. So recreation is important, but then overall, the maintenance of the city. So Councillor Ogden attests to this every chance he gets, but mowing, trimming, painting poles, signs, stop signs, guardrails, picking up garbage. We need to allow our staff to have the equipment when they're out. They're not just out to do one job. I'm not saying cross union here, but if their job is garbage, then when they're out, if they see garbage on the road, they should be able to pick that garbage up. If they're out mowing lawns and it's not their designated area, but they see that something needs to be trimmed, get out and trim it. We need to step up our game on that because we need everybody to take a little more pride in the way St. John looks.
Yeah, thank you, Counselor.
Thank you.
Counselor Sullivan?
Thanks, Deputy. I'll just double down on what I said 2 weeks ago. Really, for me, it's looking at taking some of the plans that we've had, and in my mind particularly, Move SJ. I like everything that's been said so far. I will add on traffic circles and complete streets. If we have an opportunity with extra money to go into pay-as-you-go to do some extra capital projects, I would love to see us make some of our intersections safer with whether it be traffic circles, and when we are rebuilding streets, taking the time to build streets for the future, not streets from the past. That would be my 2 cents.
Thank you, Counselor. Over to you, Counselor Harris.
Thank you, Deputy. I got a number. I have 5 questions and 5 long comments. So I apologize, but no, I won't apologize, but I am going to probably take the full 3 minutes. Counselor Sullivan, to save you the time from typing, I did just forward you my email list. So that's off to you. Now, I think this council has to be pretty honest about a couple things. First is, we got a lot of plans that haven't been updated in the last 3 years. We have never seen growth pressure like we've seen in the past 3 years. A lot of these plans that lay out goals, I mean, even the strategic plan, as your chair, never did we anticipate some of the pressures around inflation, CPI, general inflation, population growth, service reductions at provincial level, tax cuts for industry. Never were they part of the assumptions baked into your 10-year strategic plan. They just weren't there. What is there now is 190 plus people living rough in the street. We have no ability any longer to call that someone else's lane. It is the single biggest risk factor we have to growth and prosperity and wellness in the city. And one of our top priorities as council is belong. It's very hard to belong anywhere if you don't have a home. We have 0 wins to account for. By all estimations, the province will only deliver us 35 beds this year for an out of the cold shelter. We had 45, 50 last year. And that's just because I'm working on my own project and that I've had an opportunity to have those discussions. We have to take a leading role. We have to find a way. And I think one of the areas where we have set direction in the past as council has been on the multiplex. I think that's an area where we can revisit our investment into that. We can revisit what amount of money is being used to build new arenas, which I know we need, 100% we need. But when we have these risk factors, when we have more and more people every year living rough in streets, we have to take action. There's ways we can do it. And I think, some of the ways that we've laid out here tonight around, dangerous buildings and repairing buildings using, Section 137, which our staff are already on, putting more money aside to repair those buildings and safeguard our assets is something. We need to get the municipal housing entity built and done. Whatever it's going to look like, whether it's a corp, whether it's whatever governance structure it takes, we need to get it done because we need somebody who has the only goal of waking up in the morning, and that's their goal, is to get more houses built. No one has that as their job title, and no one has that as their full-time employment, and we need to have it. So I got a bunch more on that.
Okay, we can
I'm
come
down to
around
my 5
again.
seconds, so I'll pass it along. But yeah, I mean, I do want to come back for a second round if I can.
Okay. Councillor Radwan?
Thank you, Deputy. I have this set up as 3 points citywide and 3 specific to Ward 4. So the first one citywide is performance management, which I know we're already working on. I would push that forward quickly as we could. It's going to help optimize every single department. So anything that anybody is interested in around the table, it's going to help optimize every department. A labor relations strategy, which is in our strat plan. This will help ensure that we have fairness and at the same time the city stays sustainable. So it's absolutely imperative. And number 3 is enhancing the industrial parks. So I think that this is the way that council can possibly optimize parcels of land to optimize growth for the city. And so that tax-based growth also obviously would help the economy, create a lot of jobs, a lot of business in the city. So those are my 3 for citywide. For the ward, I'm singing the same song. Number 1 is a community center, but like Councillor Lowe said, number 1 thing within that community center is a community development officer to try to help uplift people out of poverty because the calls that I'm getting are unbelievable. Number 2 is actually about our climate change adaptation plan. And I would hope that within that plan, there's a plan to help not solve, but mitigate some of the flooding on the east side. So whether it be Glen Falls, Rossay Avenue, McAllister Drive, whether it's digging ditches, planting trees, whatever those mitigation ideas are, I would hope that that would come out of our climate change adaptation plan. Then 3rd is to implement our traffic calming measures in the areas most needed in the east side. I mean, I've always been shocked by how many calls I get about traffic calming, and I'm getting them citywide, so there's definitely issues all over the place. And I do wonder, if there is one of those things that's much needed is some sort of campaign to talk about people slowing down, be safe on the road. But anyway, I'll kind of throw that over to you, Councillor Norton, who sits on Police Commission. I don't know if the mayor, by the way, has left anything, but if not, hopefully she can share her thoughts when she's at Finance.
She
Thank
will,
you,
yeah.
Deputy.
Absolutely. Thank you. Councillor Hickey, you're next.
Thanks very much, Deputy. I think, and throughout the process, I've been proud how far we've come around finance with this budget and specific. There was conversation around it being a status quo budget, and I brought up opposition to that and saying that it wasn't, because I don't think it is. When we look where we were 3 short years ago, this city has made some big decisions and has come a long way on that track, as have staff doing that. I think the big question that I ask is, are our commitments to our citizens being met now, and how can we enhance them? I think about, services our outside workers offer, whether it's pole garbage collection or gardening or those efforts around maintenance. Are we meeting those demands consistently enough and effectively enough that we're not in a constant state of urgency with our staff and have that constant state of urgent pressure on them? are we being fair to our teams in that demand as well? So I really hope that this budget reflects that and reflects that effort as well. I think too, for me, when we talk about more of the capital investment side of things, I look at examples like Charlotte Street and think, that should be those complete street buildings should be a standard, not an aspiration. And we do use it aspirationally. I think we should use it as a standard when we look at how we build these streets, and I think that's really important. I also think, looking around the province, when we see investments like last year's investment from the city of Moncton of $6 million into the Rising Tides efforts that was matched by the province 2 years ago, I wonder, those are conversations that should be on the table here as well, given the urgency of the crisis here. We hit a record in this city last week of 218 people on our by names list, homeless on the streets. It's the highest it's ever been in the city. We continue to have a housing crisis that gets ignored by other levels of government. And, I've been using this a lot lately, but like Hazel McCallion, the former mayor of Mississauga, said, the feds have all the money, the province has all the power, and the cities have all the problems. So we've got to step up to the plate on this one to a point of at least making sure we have the conversation around all of those options being on the table. The last, from a strategy and performance and planning side of things, having that performance management strategy and also having that labor relations strategy, I think would do us well as well. Thank you.
Good, thank you. Councillor Ogden, you're online.
Thank you, Deputy. I start with, we've had a lot of great ideas here, and we need more money. And our citizens should know that St. John does generate enough money. We just don't get to keep it. And it's gone on for 60 years. It's called the industrial tax. So I would like to see us put the emphasis on keeping our industrial tax. We were the city that didn't grow as fast as Moncton and Fredericton. We were the city that didn't get enough schools. We're the city that has the lowest number of university students in all Atlantic Canada, by far, 2,000. The averages range from 9 to 32,000, and a university is 75% provincially funded. So we are not seeing our money staying in St. John, and often we are not having a say in the way our money is spent. So I see our industrial tax that everybody should know that we are not getting as from the province, but the money is generated here. I see that as a major priority. Also, population growth. We have 2,000 university students where everybody else has between 9 and 32,000. That would lower our poverty rates and make us make our population grow and have a younger population. And we need to refurbish our neighborhoods, more crosswalks, more sidewalks. I know that we're building concrete sidewalks, but maybe in some places, maybe even asphalting some because we've got them in such bad shape. And recreation is extremely important. The double rink is great. We need to worry about the Peter Murray Arena and maybe an artificial field at Simons, those types of things. But those are the priorities that I see. And going back to what Councillor Lowe said, we need much more enforcement. That's where I'd like to see the staff get out into the neighborhoods more and know what's happening in the neighborhoods. Make it a point. Make it a point that all senior staff, everybody gets out in the neighborhoods and see how we can improve the neighborhoods. Because when we concentrate our population, it lowers taxes. And some of our largest number of vacant lots, most degenerate buildings, are in the center of our city, and it should be just the opposite. We are not KV or Hampton or Dieppe or Moncton or Fredericton, which enjoy higher benefits and higher wages. But it's often because of us. The money is generated in St. John. So we need to keep our money in St. John, and everybody in the city needs to be saying that, not just City Council. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Killen, over to you.
Thank you, Deputy. I want to know what we really need, first of all. I've been asking for a service-based budget to understand what we're missing. Ideally, in a town like ours, as small as ours, we wouldn't have people paying fees to play soccer. and play baseball and play football. Like, it's unbelievable what I hear at my kids' soccer game about how much this costs people to play on fields that are in their own city that they pay taxes for. And every year we end up here talking about that. So I would like that finally rectified in the favor of the constituent. I would also like to see an increase for our community centers, not a decrease. What I see here is a status quo effort, as well as a $300,000 reduction in our community services line item. Our population has increased drastically. We need places for people to exist for free in third spaces, and the city has that ability to do that. I dream of us taking care of our beaches on the west side so they're not eroding into the ocean. I think we need to look at how we are going to deal with the fact that traffic is a nightmare from the west side constantly and will be for year over year as long as the Harbor Bridge is under construction. And then after that, likely the reversing falls will be under construction. So when are we going to talk about the realities of that for West Siders? I also noticed there's a $3 million transfer in 2024 to the capital budget, as well as a $3.7 million one in 2023. That's $6.7 million to capital. I understand that is part of our strategic plan, but we need to look at the fact that we're growing. As per Councillor Harris's point, we are not in the same situation we were. So I would like to look at what are we going to do to enhance our operations budget with that money potentially. I'm not sure why we need to invest it. If there's specific things, then amazing. Or if it's just going to reserves again for the facility on the east side or wherever it may be for the rink, then that's fine. But we need to understand that, as do the citizens. We need to see more for our community centers, and we need to seriously consider what we are going to do if we actually have to consider dropping our taxes again. St. Johners want services, and we want to retain people. The amount of people I've heard who don't want to stay here because of the not well-kept streets and the things that we've all been saying around the table, if we're so concerned about growth, we need to make sure we can retain. And having a space that's not welcoming to people, or one that's not, clean and cleanly and all that, is going to deter folks. So I think we need to consider what kind of St. John we really want with this budget.
Thank you, Councillor. Okay, so I'll let Councillor Harris do his second round thing, and then I'll wrap it up. Go ahead.
Thank you, Deputy. So to that point, I want to get a little more specific. So I think the opening argument was we need to revisit some of these plans. We obviously have a couple that are due right now for review, which is Plan SJ. Nothing is more important than getting that done. The Old North and Neighborhood Plan, that's something that's been talked about since 2021, and we haven't put any work toward that. What I'm saying is we really largely have a status quo reality here in the Growth and Community Services file, and a very small increase. Now, the delta on what we are going to get for actual tax-based growth is about 5 points. So we built this budget, the draft budget that was delivered to Finance in August. We built it on a 3.55% assumption. We're getting 8.65% tax-based growth. The tendency, the feeling will be to lower taxes. But the reality is, to Recreation's point, we have an ability to impact thousands of families that are so targeted by CPI realities and increases by reducing the rate, not increasing the subsidization policy. The reality of 2019 is not here anymore. Subsidization policy around fields and arenas was built in 2019 realities. If we choose to go down that road, we're only going to increase the costs to families who already bear more costs for their kids who are in school, for school fees and other costs. There's an ability for us to impact the bottom line of families right there that lowering tax rates doesn't necessarily achieve. Beyond that, we have other areas of underperformance in Growth and Community Services where we have to do better. We talked about homelessness in the municipal housing entity. We have other ones as well that we have put in place here around policies around transit corridors, density bonusing, things like that we've never heard back from because we just don't have the staff to really run these things uphill and to get them done. So I'm suggesting that the increases that we are putting forward need to go to Growth and Community Services, because as long as we keep a status quo reality and grow, we are only going to fall further and behind. That's just the reality. More people means more services, and Growth and Community Services is who delivers a lot of that. The last point I wanted to hit on was traffic calming. I get a lot of calls on this. We have a lot of traffic calming realities that they're going unanswered. I know we have a strategy in place for that, but I want to suggest when we see things like Burpee Ave reconstructed without really any attention to trees or aesthetics, which naturally calm traffic when they're put in place, but then we do see it on a street in the Waterloo Village, which I really appreciated. Really well done. There's something about the review process here and council's ability to set direction in areas of high intensity and growth that we need to talk about, but I just don't think we have the staff to really get that done.
Well,
So-
you're at your 6 minutes
Yeah, I'm at my
now,
6 minutes.
okay?
Anyway.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm just going to wrap it up, folks. I guess from my perspective, I'm looking at more property inspectors, bylaw officers. I think that we need that to help address our dilapidated properties. I think that we need a cleaner city. I think that, we need to, I agree with Councillor Ogden and Councillor Stewart, we need to clean up the city more. Traffic calming, certainly, I agree with that as well. I think that what we could be doing is, and I know that Commissioner Hugenholtz has already started us down this road, but repairing sidewalks and curbing without necessarily reconstructing the street. I think that's really important to help our neighborhoods look better. And I think that we need to continue going down that road and maybe even put a little bit more into it. So I guess that's pretty much it. I agree with a lot of what was said around the table, but we can't have a wish list that's way too long. So we have a mover and a seconder. So on the motion to receive and file, all in favor? Any against? The motion is carried. Next item, Common Clerk.
Next on the agenda is item 15.1, and it's general correspondence from a citizen with regard to removal of publicity from city buses. And there's a recommendation to receive this for information.
Can I get a motion to receive and file? Councillor Stewart, Councillor Hickey on the motion. All in favor? Against, if any? Motion is carried. Next item, Common Clerk.
And next is one of the items from Committee of the Whole, and it's item 17.1. This is with respect to extension of license with Fundy Harbor Estates. And the resolution would be that the city enter into an amended and restated license agreement, and the form is presented to Committee of the Whole at its meeting held on October 16, 2023, with Fundy Harbor Estates, Inc. for the sole purpose of extending the term of the license dated February 7, 2022 to terminate on February 29, 2024, and that the mayor and clerk be authorized to execute the said amendment and restated license agreement and any other documents ancillary thereto.
Okay, can I get a mover of the motion, please? Councillor Hickey, a seconder. Councillor Stewart. Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, if any, motion's carried. Next item, Common Clerk.
Next is item 17.2. This is from Committee of the Whole with respect to land assembly for South Central Peninsula School. The resolution would be resolved that the city enter into an agreement of purchase and sale, generally in the form as presented to Committee of the Whole at its meeting held on October 16, 2023, with one amendment to address the monument located on a portion of the land with the province of New Brunswick, for the sale of 12 parcels of land located within the block of Charlotte Street, St. James Street, Sydney Street, and Broad Street in the city of St. John, identified as PIDs 0001560, 0001552, 0001545, 0001537, 0001529, 0001511, 0001503, 0001495, 0002386, 0002220, 0001487, and 55019-731, and that the mayor and clerk be authorized to execute the said agreement of purchase and sale and any other documents necessary to effect the transaction.
Okay, it's moved by Councillor Lowe, seconded by Councillor Hickey.
Just
your
the PID
kid.
numbers, perhaps?
Okay, on the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, if any, the motion's carried. Next item, Common Clerk.
And Deputy, that was the final item, so a motion to adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn by Councillor Lowe. and seconded by Counselor Norton. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, if any, motion carried. Thank you all very much. Have a good night.